What's up, man? How you doing? That's right. I am the Jersey Kid, Richard Christopoulos. And you know what? I'm actually just returning back to the ring. This coming Sunday, I will be doing my first show back at I believe in Staten Island at the Warrior School. I'm not too familiar with the promotion and all that stuff, but I just actually booked that show yesterday, so I was pretty lucky. And yep, yeah, yeah. This is actually going to be my debut show for the Warriors of Wrestling. um, Out in Staten Island, so that's gonna be pretty cool. Hopefully, I'll be going up against Corvus Fear. That works out. But yeah, talking about Manhattan, I was actually living there for about 2 years, and so I was able to wrestle all over, not all over the five. I probably hit like 3 out of the 5 boroughs, and did shows there, like Queens, Brooklyn, Bronx. I think. Actually, I think I did Harlem as well. Not sure about Manhattan though. Ah, um, first time I could really remember watching wrestling. I think I was in my room just flipping through the channels, and geez, back in my when I was living in Edison, New Jersey, and it's cool. I was living with my mom, my grandparents there, and geez, how old was I? Must have been like geez, anywhere from like 4 or 5, maybe 6 years old, something like that. I'm not too sure. I remember, actually, no, it was whenever this is what happened. I remember the exact match. It was The Rock and Earl Hebner tag teaming up against DX. Pretty sure that's the first ever thing I ever saw in pro wrestling. And then, of course, right after that, I had a Rock action figure. So, yeah, that's pretty cool. Yeah, starting of, I think, seventh, what was it? No, eighth grade, I think I started doing amateur wrestling. And I don't know, the teachers and all that, since I was like jacked up and all. I used to live in Pensacola, New Jersey. I was like a few blocks away from Camden. So I used to get into fights all the time, you know what I mean? So I started like working out and, getting fit and, learning how to fight and all that good stuff. So I was getting like, geez, in Pensacola, I was getting into fights like sometimes twice a week. Yeah, it's constantly getting like suspended for like, a day or 2 or 3, and some days like I just want to go to school and stuff, like stay up all night. But that was way back when. That's right around like fourth, fifth grade. But jeez, yeah, man. What was the question again? Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I was in Pennsauken up until seventh grade actually, and after that I moved to South Brunswick and I started doing sports and everything. I started playing football. I was on the wrestling team. I even did track in eighth grade. That was actually good. I did the 400, and I actually won every single time. I won the 400 race, except the one time this one kid beat me with like, he was like some short kid. He probably played soccer. He was like short, skinny, had like really long hair and stuff, and he was just fast, man. He probably like, he was probably like 30 to like 40 pounds lighter than I was, so you know, happens. Yeah, I used to do a lot of dumb shit with my friends back in Pennsauken. And, I mean, all over, wherever I lived, we'd always do dumb stuff, running from the police and just, stupid stuff, running from people. And so, yeah, jumping fences and just like running through neighborhoods. And yeah, so I used to get a good workout with all that stuff. So then when I finally did sports in like in eighth grade, I was really good. Doing the high jump, I was good at that. Are you there? Can't hear you. Can't hear you right now. Okay, yeah, there you are. Yeah. Yeah, always, man. I was always, good sports. Yeah, I did wrestling in high school. That's really all I did. I just did wrestling in high school. And, yeah, I mainly showed up with my friends a lot. Um, oh, my mother actually went to jail for like quite a few years, and then she ended up getting out around April, I think, like towards the end of the school year. And, so I wasn't really going to school as much. I was mainly seeing my mom. And I ended up failing English just by a few points. And the reason why I failed English was like I always got A's throughout English, but I was always in like the special ed classes in English. So, I'd ace it. You know what I mean? And then my girlfriend at the time, she was like, "Oh, well, you should do the regular English class. You're smart enough to do it." So I did it, and I got the school year went about like 3 different semesters or whatever. The first semester I got a D, second semester I got a D, last semester I got an F by like 2 points. So I ended up failing high school just because of that. But yeah, yep, I think that's where wrestling pretty much. Um, Man, ever since I was even in high school, like I started wrestling. think I think the summer after my freshman year, I started doing professional wrestling. So I was about 16, and I started doing it in June of 2006. And I don't know, ever since I started doing it, I just had like a nag for it. I was like a really big wrestling fan. I'm like, thankfully my grandma, she would get me all the DVDs, the video games, and she really like helped me buy into the stuff. And yeah, I started doing it, and I just knew I was good at it, and just like I just knew it would be good. This is what I wanted to do. So when you're that focused on something, yeah, it's just it comes to you, you know. Hmm. Well, I started off with John Rambo at the House of Pain in Hagerstown, Maryland, back in June of 2006. Um, over there's a great group of guys. I started off with this one guy, Rocky DeCola. Like he started off at the same time as me, so we got to have our first match like 4 weeks later at the our first singles match against each other 4 weeks later at the Apollo in Martinsburg, West Virginia. So that's pretty cool. John Rambo was taking care of me a lot. Um, my grandma would even send me out to the school, and John's a great cook, man. He would cook up lobsters sometimes, chicken, like anything he would make. Like he was like a chef. He was like a chef dude. But, John Rambo, he was a cool guy. I think he was on WCW a few times, and he was just like he was just like a big name around like Maryland, well, all over the place. He went everywhere. He toured like the whole world. Um, so he was like my mentor at first. So he was actually trained by The Rock's father. So he used to tell us stories about The Rock when he was a kid. He would tell us stories about like picking The Rock up after like a school dance or something like that, and Rock was sitting in the back seat with his girlfriend, like telling John Rambo to like turn up the music and all this stuff, and just random stories. So yeah, like that early on in my career, I guess John Rambo. He was like the first person I was looking at. Also Robbie Page, Wildman Robbie Page, Chris Klein, my boy Viper. Um, these are all guys from like the House of Pain. I really look up that guy's Bob Starr. He was on WCW. He does a Doink the Clown character. He was a great dude. Um, After a little while, I started working with this guy Shorty Smalls. He started getting me into like the Virginia area for wrestling, and I think even before that, I started going to Philadelphia. Um, I hit like Tennessee, North Carolina. So I was just really trying to get bookings all over the place. I was trying to stay busy every single weekend. Just, go as many places as I could and just get as much experience as I could. And just, yeah, it was a good time. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, John Ray was a great professional wrestler. He was a big hardcore guy too. He'd always, there's a bunch of pictures of him like bleeding like crazy and all that stuff. You come out with the nunchucks. He'd hit people in the head with nunchucks. That's something which I'd love to do one of these days is get a pair of those nunchucks to whack somebody in the head with that and win a match. That'd be great. Huh. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, you hit somebody with nunchucks, that will shock the crowd. That will pop. Yeah, crowd will pop for that. Definitely. Yeah. Yeah, I travel with guys all the time. I mean, I don't know, some of the times I even travel out by myself. Um, I was just trying to stay busy and trying to stay booked all the time. I mean, like, yeah, I was living in, well, I started off living in New Jersey, and then around 2010, or 2009, 2010, I moved out to Virginia. And I think I was out there for a few years, and I was just, staying booked all the time. I was constantly working, constantly doing shows, and yeah, if nobody else came with me, I'd go to a show by myself. Sometimes I bring my mom or one of my brothers or some friends. We just make a road trip out of it and just have a good time. The whole, just have a blast. So, yeah. Um. hmm. Well, doing pro wrestling, just you always get small injuries here and there. It's like whether it's like bruises or concussions. I mean, there's so many things. You know what I mean? Sprains. Like I think I used to sprain my ankles like all the time. I never get them checked out, but they just be spraining. Like I knew it wasn't broken or anything. It was just like hurt. My wrist. I sprain my wrist all the time. Um, this is my biggest injury at first was my shoulder. I popped out my shoulder back around like 2010. And like, she's like right now, man, like my arms are like weak right now, you know what I mean? I don't really have any muscle here anymore. I used to be jacked back when I first started, I used to be like really jacked up. And when I popped on my shoulder that, I wasn't able to work out as much. Sometimes I still push it, try, but you know, uh, yeah, I can't. Well, I didn't really do like the right things. I didn't really know what to do to take care of my shoulder and all that type of stuff. I did get checked out by the doctor at the time, and I did a few like exercises that I learned from amateur wrestling for my shoulder throughout high school, and yeah, I kept on training and just kept on doing shows. Um, yeah, yeah, that's right. Just guys for UFC and all those mixed martial arts fighting, they usually get a lot more time off, and they usually train a lot more, and or they'll like train for like months straight, for like one big fight. And pro wrestling, it's just you train during the week, and then hopefully you get like three, four, or two, three, four shows that week. If you're lucky, you know what I mean, instead of just one. And you just some days, sometimes they give me book two shows in one day. I see that all the time in North Carolina. Because I just or like me and my boy Marcus Streets sometimes. He's like he's somebody that I started training with at the House of Pain. I think a few years into my career he came. So I think he probably started around 2009 or something. But I took him under my wing for a little bit, and I started bringing him around like North Carolina, New Jersey, all over the place. And we'd have matches against each other, have like our own rivalry on YouTube. Actually, my front tooth, this one right here, is actually fake because he held up a ladder like this as I ran, hit the ropes. I jumped through the rope. It was a ladder match, and I did a suicide dive. He holds up the ladder, throws it, and moves out from under the way. So he wasn't supposed to move out of the way. He was supposed to fucking hold the ladder so I could come down and hit the ladder and land on my feet. But he threw the ladder up and he moved out the way. So I'm looking at this ladder. It's flying at me in the face. Like time felt so slow. And so, like, I pitch, there's like the ladder, like the bar, like the big bar is coming towards me. So I got my hands up about it. I'm trying to catch this bar. So I see the ladder come up. I'm going to catch it, and it just folds right under my thumb. Boom, whacks me in the mouth, knocks my tooth out. Then I fell on top of the ladder on the ground on the outside of the ring. And yeah, so that was a bitch. Um, just bruises and shit, and I lost my tooth, so I had to get a root canal, get a fake tooth put in. So, but actually, me and Marcus Streets, we have a match coming up on October 3rd in Virginia Beach. I will be facing him again, which this is great. The last time I faced him was out in Pennsylvania, I think, probably about a year and a half ago or so, something like that. Yeah, but it's nice to be wrestling him maybe like once a year, you know, doing something like that. So, get my revenge again for that tooth. Chop the shit out. Yeah, yeah. And then, back to my shoulder. Actually, I injured my shoulder a while back. When I was in Tennessee, I was wrestling these two bigger guys, and I went for a missile, well, not a Mexican drop kick off the top rope, and pretty much I knew they weren't going to fall right, so I jumped off the top rope, got my arms out ready to fall down, so my thumb got like turned this way, hit the ground, just like, boom, popped out my shoulder. And that's the first time where I had shoulder problems. Or I did pop it out, just like got it all messed up. And so after that, I think I was at GXW in Richmond, Virginia, training, and I'm just doing a drill. I hit somebody in the back, and it just pops right out. That was that.